Thank you, Rick, as always. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It's such a beautiful day. We've had so many beautiful Sundays, and this is just another one. I'm so grateful to be able to gather with all of us together to worship. And we thank you, Rick. And Rebecca is our special music, and perhaps she will be here. We'll see what happens. And I would like to just remind everybody to turn your phone down. And let's start together by singing our joy song.
Now I have the pleasure of greeting you once more. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you for those who are looking at us over the internet. What a pleasure that you are with us as well. This morning, I am going to use as a Bible quote, Luke 1:37. Which goes, with God, nothing shall be impossible. With God, nothing shall be impossible. You know, I pray for a great many things every morning. I pray for my family, I pray for all of you. I pray for our government and our armed services abroad, and those who are in the government and those who have been discharged from the government, both here and overseas. But then I get to praying not only for our country, but I start also praying about Ukraine and Gaza and Sudan. And those prayers are a little harder because there is so much pain and suffering and hunger going on there. But then I say this quote from Luke to myself. With God, nothing shall be impossible. Nothing. And then I look back at these places that are suffering so badly, and I apply that idea, that feeling, that sense that with God nothing is impossible. Oh, that makes a total difference. That changes everything. The whole valence of that prayer has become different. Because with God, nothing is impossible. The underlying power in all things, the reason we exist, the feeling that, of hope we have, the feeling of belief that we have, the sense that, okay, it's not good now, but with God, all things are possible. And I leave that with you. I leave with you the thought that this situation, that problem, this person, that situation, this health condition, this pain, with God, nothing is impossible. Now, shall we say our statement of being together? God is all, both invisible and invisible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. I am the individualized expression of God, and am ever one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. Well, generally, we have a musician here, but apparently you're not going to be doing that.
I will.
Okay.
Yay.
Yay.
You know, but that was good.
Crazy.
We'll play through The Word is in Your Heart. Make it so.
stepping into the breach so beautifully. This is our time of healing prayer and meditation. The time when we just relax, get still, move into a state of mind that we don't usually have during our busy days. Maybe we set aside time for it, but maybe not. So right now, I would request that you close your eyes. And take a few deep breaths. All the way to the top and all the way to the bottom. And then for a moment, think of your face and relax, release it. All tension disappears. And then your shoulders, let them down. Feel your arms and hands. Feel them as completely relaxed, easy, comfortable. And then your chest, your back, stomach, legs and feet. You're allowing all the tension, any stress, any negative feelings to ebb away, leaving only peace, only a sense of relaxation, only a feeling that all is well. All is well. Why? Because we know right now that with God all things are possible. Or to say it in the words of Luke, with God nothing shall be impossible. You're all challenged. We all have a little pain somewhere here or there. We all feel deeply a concern for someone else, for perhaps many others. But right now, we remember that with God nothing shall be impossible. Nothing. And we allow that light to fill any dark place in our minds, in our feelings. We all do the best we can. That's the truth for everyone who walks the earth. It might be very bad, but that's the best they can do right at this moment. And knowing that and releasing them adds to the power that with God nothing shall be impossible. In the 90 seconds that we will have, starting in just a moment or so, I invite you to invite that thought, that feeling into any place in your life, anyone in your life, as well as yourself, that could use help. Because with God, nothing shall be impossible to you, to that situation. This is truth. Let us, in our quietude, say it to ourselves. Come unto me, all ye who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. To rest in the truth that with God is nothing is impossible, is to rest, is to release tension, release fear, release worry, release concern. Release negative thoughts and rest in the light of God's truth, God's good. For this truth resounding in our minds and hearts, we give deepest thanks. And now shall we say the Lord's Prayer, the translation from the Aramaic, Jesus' own words, together. Our Father who is everywhere, your name is sacred, your kingdom is come, your will is throughout the earth, even as it is throughout the universe. You give us our needful bread from day to day, and you forgive us our offenses, even as we forgive our offenders. And you let us not enter into materialism, but you separate us from error, because yours are the kingdom, the power, and the song and praise from all ages, throughout all ages, sealed in faith, trust, and truth. Amen. I'm going to be talking about diamonds or Dunghills. Well, a few weeks ago, I talked about how, while we really know many, many things that Jesus has said, we know absolutely nothing about how he said them. What he might have verbally emphasized, what he might have said one thing louder than another thing, underscoring certain things that he said, perhaps. We don't know anything about the expression on his face. Was he smiling? Was he frowning? Was he laughing? Was he very, very serious? We don't know. Such things, though, are such an important part of our communicating with other people, that's a central part. Sadly, we'll never know how Jesus looked or how he emphasized things when he spoke to the people. Lately, I found myself thinking, wait a minute here, wait. This was a man who experienced illumination, who felt totally connected with God. When you hear me, you hear the Father, who spoke about a feeling of oneness with his Abba, his Father, God. He spoke about that on many, many occasions. And yet, the Gospels describe times when he got angry, when he criticized people, or got very impatient with them. There's a dissonance there. There's something that doesn't quite fit together. Illumination on one hand, and then negative thoughts or feelings on the other? Huh? What does that say? Well, defenders of Jesus try to explain that these negative behaviors are the result of righteous indignation. But that doesn't fit either. That just doesn't work, at least for me. In Matthew, the 17th chapter, this distraught father comes to Jesus, telling him all about the symptoms of his epileptic son. The disciple had tried to heal this child. Jesus said, "O faithless and crooked generation, how long shall I be with you? And how long shall I preach to you?" He got impatient. And then again in Matthew, when the apostles of Jesus were in a boat and a storm blew in and they all got nervous and they woke Jesus up. And he said, "Oh, you of little faith." And he calmed the storm. According to Mark, when Jesus healed a man with a withered hand, the Pharisees were planning to accuse him of working on the Sabbath. You could not work on the Sabbath. They were planning to point their finger at him. And Jesus looked at them and with anger in his heart and sadness that they were so hard-hearted that this man could not be healed. The whole 23rd chapter of Matthew is one insult, another stating criticism after each other about the Pharisees. Of course, everybody knows that story where Jesus becomes so angry that he makes a whip and then drives the money changers and the people who sold animals out of the temple. That's only repeated 4 times in the Gospels. So, where was love your neighbor as yourself? Could you possibly imagine Mother Teresa doing something like that? Or Pope Francis? Or Mahatma Gandhi just getting so angry that they made a whip and started using it on people? Can't do it. It doesn't fit. Why? Why on earth would this totally God-realized teacher and healer and prophet succumb to impatience and criticism and anger, just as the gospel said he did? A visitor once said of the 18th century Hasidic rabbi, Dunghills, I didn't travel to Mesrich to hear him teach, but to watch him tie his shoelaces. Now, in other words, a real teacher embraces what he teaches into the simplest acts of his life, like tying his shoelaces, as well as the most challenging times life brings them. For instance, a group of Pharisees just waiting for him to make a mistake so they could pounce on him. Jesus of Nazareth would never express negative emotions like criticism, however, anger, impatience. A man that full of the presence of God wouldn't do that. He'd be calm. He'd approach a challenge creatively, patiently, lovingly, with God's help. A few days ago, I sat down on a small couch in my office and I turned and looked at a shelf of books that was right next to the couch. And I saw a book entitled The Gospel According to Jesus by Stephen Mitchell. And I just pulled it off the shelf and started thumbing through it, glancing at it. And, no, there are no accidents. There are no accidents. Of all the books on that shelf, I opened it up to some information about Thomas Jefferson. He was the brilliant author of the Declaration of Independence. He was also a governor, he was a diplomat, he was a vice president, and then finally he was the 3rd president of our country. He was an outspoken champion of religious liberty, and at the same time he was also a deeply religious man. Late one winter night during his first term as a president, Jefferson began compiling a version of the Gospels, cutting Jesus' words, snipping them out of a Bible, and including only the words that he felt were the authentic sayings of Jesus. Some passages he felt were the words of an extraordinary man, and others, he decided, were the work of an inferior mind. The authentic words of Jesus, he wrote, were the most sublime and benevolent code of morals which has ever been offered to man. He realized, sadly, that the early Christian church must have inserted some very different teachings and identified them as Jesus' sayings. Jefferson said, it's as easy to separate those parts as to pick diamonds from Dunghills. Mr. Mitchell, the author of the book, is also a brilliant man and a great scholar. His book includes quotes from many of the world's deepest religious and philosophical wisdom. Mr. Mitchell shares a description of Jesus that I think is just beautiful. I wanted to share it with you. He enjoys eating and drinking. He likes to be around women and children. He laughs easily, and his wit can cut like a surgeon's scalpel. His trust in God is as natural as breathing, and in God's presence, he is himself fully present. In his bearing, in his very language, he reflects God's deep love for everything that is earthly, for the sick and for the despised, the morally admirable and the morally repugnant, for weeds as well as flowers, lions as well as lambs. He teaches that just as the sun gives light to both wicked and good, and the rain brings nourishment to both righteous and unrighteous, God's compassion embraces all people. There are no preconditions for it. Nothing we have to do first, nothing we have to believe. When we are ready to receive it, it is there. And the more we live in its presence, the more effortlessly it flows through us until we find we no longer need external rules or Bibles or messiahs. He wants to tell everyone about the great freedom, how it feels when we continually surrender to the moment and allow our hearts to become pure, not clinging to past or future, not judging or being judged. In each person he meets, he can see the image of God in which they were created. They are all perfect when he looks at them from the Sabbath mind. I found that a beautiful description. Then Mr. Mitchell follows Jefferson's lead in pointing out the enormous difference between Jesus' words and those written by someone else who was trying to put forward a very different point of view. I'd like to share with you now what Jefferson called the difference between diamonds, that was the original thoughts of Jesus, the authentic thoughts, and what Jefferson called Dunghills. When you hear these passages side by side, you may well be struck by the difference. A little background first. It makes clearer how surprising this parable must have been who first heard it. When the Hebrews were conquered by the Babylonians, their conquerors made the whole leadership of the Jewish community move to Babylon. The king and his court, his family, the wealthy people, the educated people, the most skilled artisans, and certainly the religious hierarchy all moved. They were all taken into exile. Now, with the leadership removed, it was much less likely that those left behind would revolt, that would cause them any trouble. But 70 years later, when the Hebrews were finally allowed to go back home, they found the people who remained had intermarried with other tribes around there. They were no longer pure Jews. Their father and their mother had not been Jewish. They were called Samaritans. And they were looked down on, they were discriminated against, they were despised by the Hebrews. And after not very much time, the hatred was returned. First, I want to read a diamond. Once a certain scribe stood up and said, "Rabbi, what must I do to gain eternal life?" And Jesus said to him, "What is written in the law?" And the scribe said, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength and with all your mind. And you shall love your neighbor as yourself." And Jesus said, "You have answered correctly. Do this and you will live." And the scribe said, "But who is my neighbor?" And Jesus said, "A certain man, while traveling from Jerusalem to Jericho, was set upon by robbers, who stripped him and beat him and left him on the road half dead. And a priest, someone who worked in the temple, the priest happened to be going down that road, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side." He got as far away from us as he could. And a Levite, too, came to that place and saw him and passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan who was traveling that way came upon the man, and when he saw him, he was moved with compassion. And he went over to him and bound up his wounds, pouring oil and wine on them and putting him on his own donkey, and brought him to an inn and took care of him. And on the next day he took out 2 silver coins and gave them to the innkeeper and said, "Take care of him. And if it costs more than this, I will reimburse you when I come back." Which of these 3, says Jesus, do you think turned out to be a neighbor to this man? And the scribe said, "The one who treated him with mercy." And Jesus said, "Go then and do as he did." That's a diamond. Next, what Jefferson called a dunghill. In Matthew, the 25th chapter, a man went on a journey after giving 3, 2, and 1 talents, a coin, to 3 different servants. And when he returned, the servants who were given the 2 and 3 talents had earned money from them. But the servant who just got 1 talent, it was a fearful man, so he just buried the coin. Because that coin hadn't earned money, Jesus is supposed to have said, "The idle servant was thrown into outer darkness. There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth." And a little further in the same chapter, Jesus promised those who had not been charitable to those who were hungry, thirsty, naked, sick, or in prison, they would go into everlasting torment. There could be 1,000 reasons why somebody could not be charitable at a certain time. But somehow would a God-realized man have not known that? Would he have judged? Would he have made such a sweeping statement? Now, I certainly do not want to destroy or shake your belief or your reliance on what the New Testament words ascribe to Jesus, but it is okay to wonder. It is all right to question whether the words do or do not reflect those of the Master who taught, don't judge, love. It's perfectly okay to question. It's okay to reject certain ideas. One of the things I loved about divine science was I could say, that I don't care for. And it was perfectly okay. I'm sure it's okay for God. I I'm sure that it's okay for Jesus Christ to question, to honor those feelings, those thoughts within us that say, I don't understand that, that doesn't sound right. To put them on the shelf, maybe revisit them or not, but to honor them. But at the same time, to remember those words of Jesus that are diamonds. Love. Look for the good. Love God. Love your neighbor. Love yourself. Love yourself. Shall we go within? And know together that God accepts us right where we are. With our questions, with our assurances, with our feelings of, let's talk about this a little more, or with our rejections. Many, many people have rejected God, and that's their business. That's okay for them. That works for them. However, we have the great gift of words of such light, of such leadership, such love and understanding, that we can live by. We can live with these ideas in our heads. We can move them into the marketplace, the interaction that we have with others daily. And they will profit us. They will bless us. They will lead us. They will imbue us with good. For Jesus' words, for diamonds, we give deepest thanks. Amen. a privilege for us to use it.
For all of us at some point, for me as well.
And now we will have the blessing of the gifts. We give and we receive. We give and receive from God. We give and receive from one another. And you give to this church, and hopefully you receive from it as well. So right now, shall we read this blessing of the gifts and know it applies to us? Today I acknowledge God, omnipresent, as the source of all good, as the source of my good. With this acknowledgement, I accept God's will, which is abundance in every aspect of my life. I am most blessed in meditation, and I am open and receptive to the increased flow of abundance in my life. I joyfully accept the gifts of life and give freely of the special gift that I have. Through me, God omnipresent blesses and multiplies this gift for all. Thank you, dear God. We have some announcements now. Would you like to give me this one? Do it. Good morning. Bobby's being cute. Bobby's being Bobby this morning. We love you. Okay, this morning, the flowers are sponsored by Jerry. And I can't remember the reason because you have so much going on in May, birthdays and anniversaries and whatever, so.
That's probably birthday, yeah.
Okay, for Dawn?
Karen.
Oh, Karen, okay, that's right, Karen's birthday's like
Yeah.
a couple days, yes. Okay, thank you, Jerry, for doing that. And thank you, Pam, as always, for taking care of them. Thank you. I also wanted to thank the gentlemen from last Sunday for all the treats they gave us. So thank you all. You all did a good job. Very appreciative of it. And as Bobby told me last night, he wasn't doing anything else the next Mother's Day. But we'll work on that. But we do really appreciate y'all did a really good job. So thank you so very much for doing that. Let's see, we had dinner out last night. We had a really good turnout. Everybody, I think, had a good time. So thank you for coming out. We'll do another one in July. So if you have any suggestions as to places you'd like to go, I mean, I'd like for somebody else to make suggestions besides just the board members. So if y'all have a suggestion that you would like to go, throw it out there and we'll try to make it happen. So we're trying to do this every other month instead of every month. So we're going to do one in July. Let's see, meditation class is going to start June the 2nd. You want to say something about that? Yes, I do want to say something about that. I'm going to be teaching a class in meditation. It will start not this coming Monday, but a week from this Monday. It will be 10 weeks. The cost is $20 and $30 for anyone who wants to take it for credit. I'm looking forward to it, I really am. It's going to be an attempt to both look at the spiritual end of it and then the practical end of it as well. So if anybody is interested, I don't have a sign-up sheet, my goodness. But speak to me about, there is a sign-up sheet. It's in the meeting room. So I hope there are a number of you who might look forward to that. Thank you. Also, if anyone wants to take the class and they financially do not have the money, please see me and it will be taken care of. So if you want to take a class, don't ever refuse to take one because you don't have any financial aid to do that. So we'll see that that's always taken care of.
What time is it?
I think y'all decided on 5:30. 5:30. You'll be late and I'll be late, but that's okay. We'll be here. So, we do have other things to do, so, okay. I also wanted to, yesterday was Jerry's birthday, and we thank you for the cake and ice cream that you provided for us, so it was very good. Today is Miss Kate's birthday, and she couldn't be here, so we want to wish her a happy birthday, and I think we should sing to her, so I think she's watching, so. All right.
Everybody please send your blessings on her special birthday?
I think she's 25. All right, Terry.
Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear friend. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, Kate. We will celebrate later. Okay, let's see. Next Saturday from 8 to 12, we're having a work day at the church for outside. Anybody that can show up and help, even if you can only do 30 minutes or whatever, we greatly appreciate it. So anyhow, it'll be, and providing the weather stays well, if something happens, I'll call you, let you know that it's been canceled. Let's see. The board member election for my position and the second vice president. The ballots are over here. Ann has said that she would run for second vice president again. So the ballots are here. They need to be in by June. I think I'll put on the 14th. So if you're a member of the church, please get your ballot and sign it. And we'll be sending out some that for the folks that aren't here. So if you can do that, we'd appreciate it. Other than that, it seems like I'm forgetting something, but I don't know what it is. So
I do.
yes. Do what?
I do know it.
Oh, I know that. Also, one other thing I did want to say. First off, I'm glad to see Kathy here. It's been so long since you've been in church. So I'm back. I know you think about us when you're here on Wednesday, but it's good to see you here this morning. Also, I wanted to pass on to you that Becky Dodson is here today, and she hasn't been here for quite a while. As most of you all know, she has been taking care of her mother for like the last 10 years. Well, Becky's mom decided to leave us. So anyhow, Becky is here, and she needs our support, but as she told me today, she's where she needs to be here today, and that's what I think most of us are here because we need to be. And sometimes we get caught up in the fact that we want to have a huge congregation or whatever, but I think the people that are here get here where they need to be. And so I'm very thankful for the ones that are here. And Becky, we love you. And if anything we can do, we're here for you. Okay? And you can have the rest of it.
Thank you very much. A few weeks ago, I gave an orientation to Divine Science class. That is required for anybody who is interested in joining the church, and it is just available for anybody who has questions or comments. We have a chance for people to express their opinions and their questions. It was my pleasure to have several people from the audience here today come and join us for this class. And one of these people decided that he would like to become a member of the class. And we are so delighted to have Philip Muncie Robinson join our church. Would you come up? Anybody got a
I
pen?
think it's inside the folder. If you open it up, is it?
Should be inside the book.
Oh, yeah, here is, thank you. It's hiding. Now, we are so, do you go under Muncie or do you go
God,
under
Murray.
Murray?
She married
Somebody has bad penmanship, that's all.
Put the right name with
us. Murray Robinson.
Okay, do I get to put it under Murray or Robinson?
Yeah, Murray. Yeah, Murray.
Okay, there you go.
And it's right under Janet.
Yeah. Today is May 18th. So, welcome. We all welcome you and are delighted to have you as a listener. And now, we do our final prayer, our prayer of protection. I like that prayer. And what I ask you to do is close your eyes. Close your eyes and for a moment bring to mind the way the earth looks from the moon. A beautiful, beautiful white and blue ball surrounded by the darkness, the blackness of space. That beautiful ball, that beautiful planet has many problems. But from space, you can only see oneness. You can only see wholeness. Right now, we say our prayer of protection for each and all of them, and I ask you to just mentally repeat these words after me. The light of God surrounds you.
The love of God surrounds you.
The love of God enfolds you.
The love of God enfolds you.
The power of God protects you.
The power of God protects you.
The presence of God watches over you.
The presence of God watches over you.
The mind of God guides you.
The mind of God guides you.
The power of God abides in you.
The power of God abides in you.
The strength of God renews you.
The strength of God renews you.
Wherever you are, God is, and all is well.
Wherever you are, God is, and all is well.
This blessing we send to our beautiful planet and to everyone and everything on it, knowing that it is accomplished. In God's mind, it is done. And now we allow it to become true in our own minds, in our prayers, in our beliefs. Thank you. Thank you, dear God, that it is so. Amen. Thank you.
Can I say, I forgot to say something. Rick, thank you so much for stepping up today. Your music was just great. Thank you. Thank you for doing that.
I thank you so much for being here. Welcome and goodbye. Blessings.
Close your song.
Just one more thing, and that is our joy song. Won't you stand, please? Your utmost needs are all supplied. Thank you so much for being with us. God bless you all.